The NBA is just a mess, man. It's just a mess. And you could tell that they just sabotaging the chances of Kevin Durant's, MVP win because it's very obvious that he's on the rise as far as him coming back and him, basically approaching that spot as far as him being number one. They trying to sabotage his numbers as well as this, manipulation tactic as far as trying to fool the fans in regards to the protocols surrounding COVID. They trying to insult the intelligence of fans. That's why KD tweeted, the NBA, I think he said the NBA, the fans ain't stupid. Y'all PR tactics is whack or something like that. Because he knows that the shit is just nonsense as far as the contradiction surrounding the protocols, as far as, him having to be taken out of a game even though he was cleared to play. It's just nonsense. He was taken out, then put back in, then taken out again. That's obviously a tactic in order for the Nets to struggle because they want LeBron to win the MVP so they could continue to, you know, push that narrative that LeBron is the greatest of all time and this and that. I think he just passed Wilt in scoring or something like that. In light of, Jokic and what his numbers are, they want to ignore that and they want to just put the attention on LeBron just over one little game. Because LeBron, he hasn't been making noise this season, but he had one little game or a few little games recently where, he's been ramping it up a little bit. But still, Jokic should be number one in the race or at least number two behind Durant. You feel what I'm saying? But let me just read on. It says multiple NBA stars, including Giannis Antetokounmpo, Kawhi Leonard, and Kevin Durant, added their voices to the growing chorus of players criticizing the league's handling of the coronavirus pandemic, particularly plans to hold the NBA All-Star Game in Atlanta on March 7th. We've got to all follow the big dog, Antetokounmpo told reporters on Friday night, referring to LeBron James. That's some real servitude idolatry type shit. We got to follow the big dog, who this week said that holding the game would be a slap in the face for players. Echoing James, Antetokounmpo, the reigning most valuable player award winner, said he had zero excitement, zero energy for the game. But at the end of the day, you sign a contract, so you're obligated to play. You have to follow the protocols of the NBA at the end of the day. And we understand that the pandemic is overblown. And I'm sure that some of these players know that the pandemic is overblown, but I feel like they're using this as a way to rebel against the league in a way because they understand that it's nonsense in regards to the protocols. Following Antetokounmpo's comments, Leonard, the Los Angeles Clippers forward, said he was not surprised by the league's plans, but that it was just putting money over health right now, pretty much. So Leonard just got straight to the point. Leonard, even though he doesn't speak much, certain things that he says, they're profound. And he has a sound mind. You could tell that he's not a conformist for the most part. Certain things you got to say in order for you to, get down with the program, but you could tell that Leonard has his own mind. So he just got straight to the point. You're like, you know what? It's all about money at the end of the day. We got to play. We're obligated to play. And, we're in the midst of a quote unquote pandemic. And at the same time, it's a business. You understand that you have to do this because the owners and, the executives, so on and so forth, they want to make money and they need to make money based off of what was lost. So let's continue to read on. We all know why we're playing, said Leonard, a full-time all-star. There's money on the line. There's the opportunity to make more money. The all-star events are a chance to showcase the NBA's top talent. There is also a financial benefit, although how much is unclear. This year, the league, in conjunction with the Players Union, is planning to hold a three-point contest and a skills competition on the same day as the game to condense an affair that typically lasts days. The NBA's collective bargaining agreement requires those selected for the All-Star game to play if they are healthy. Nonetheless, a condensed schedule does not eliminate the added health risks of an event bringing together the game's best players from across the country for an exhibition, and presents a sharp contrast to rules that bar players from sharing hugs and handshakes after games to help reduce the chances of infection spread. But they're playing the game. They're bumping and quote unquote grinding on each other. Pause. They're playing the fucking game. They've played how much games? 30 games so far in the season? They've done touched each other. You see how this shit just doesn't make any fucking sense, man? And you get annoyed by it because you know that it's nonsense. And they just trying to insult the intelligence of people who can see that it's fucking nonsense. It's ridiculous. The league's protocols appear to be wearing on some players, including Durant of the Nets, who was pulled from a game on Friday night in a strange spectacle that played out on TV and social media. Yes, it was strange and it was very confusing, but it just showed that the NBA is a fucking mess and that this coronavirus shit is a goddamn mess. It's overblown. That's all it is. It's overblown. It's not as deadly as they trying to make it out to be. It's just not. Including Durant of the Nets, who was pulled from a game on Friday night in a strange spectacle that played out on TV and social media. About 20 minutes before the Nets were to tip off against the Toronto Raptors, the Nets announced that Durant would not start the game because of the league's virus protocols. Just after the game started, the Nets announced that Durant had been cleared to play, but then after Durant played a little more than 19 minutes, he was pulled from the game and ruled out because of protocols. Shortly after leaving the game, Durant posted on Twitter, "Free me." He said he had appeared frustrated on TV broadcast as he walked out of the arena after being removed from the game, tossing a water bottle to the side as he walked into the tunnel. The NBA then released a statement saying that Durant had tested negative for the coronavirus 3 times in the past 24 hours, but had interacted with someone who first had an inconclusive test result before the game on Friday, then a positive result during the game. An inconclusive test, according to the NBA's protocols, does not necessarily require quarantine, so Durant was allowed to play. But when the positive result came in, the league pulled Durant out of an abundance of caution. But why not just postpone the game? If you don't even know whether or not it's negative or positive, why not just keep him out of the game? Why play him if you can't even, if you can't even substantiate whether or not he's positive or negative as far as the guy that Kevin Durant came in contact with? It just shows you how sloppy this shit is and how contradictory it is. It doesn't make any fucking sense. Kevin Durant, he came to be negative. And it's still known that he's negative. So why the fuck does he have to stay away from the team if he's negative? Yes, he came in contact with someone who came out to be positive, quote unquote. But at the end of the day, he did not catch the virus. So what's the problem? You're going to just ban him from playing because of contact tracing and not the outcome as far as whether he's negative or positive? It just shows you that this shit is nonsense. And I feel like they're going to use COVID as a means to determine the outcome of games. It's just obvious that this Kevin Durant thing is proof that that's what's going to happen. So when you watch the playoffs this year, it's going to be real messy, man. It's going to be nasty. Depending on whether we make it to the fucking playoffs because of what the fuck is going on in this sloppy ass world we live in. It's just ridiculous. In response to this statement, Durant tweeted, "Yo, NBA, your fans aren't dumb. You can't fool them with your whack ass PR tactics." So yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier. And also my last video. Can everyone stop saying things like out of an abundance of caution? We're just saying words that don't match actions for PR over and over at this point. It's ridiculous, man. At the end of the day, all you're doing is showing that basically you're trying to insult the intelligence of people who understand what the fuck is going on. That's all this shit is about. Not necessarily only, just about that, but that's one of the main factors. Insulting the intelligence of people who understand what the fuck shit is about and impressing the minds of silly ass people who don't get it, silly ass sheeple. And they just conform to the narrative of COVID and the narrative of what's disseminated from the fucking news, the duplicitous news media. Mike Bass, a spokesman for the NBA, told the New York Times that the All-Star Game has been an important tradition throughout the history of the league and remains one of our top events for global fan interest and engagement, as well as money. The health and safety of everyone involved is at the forefront of our discussion with the Players Association. The Players Union declined to comment, but Chris Paul, the Phoenix Suns guard and president of the Players Union, told reporters on Friday, "Guys are entitled to their feelings, their decisions, everything, their feelings. Listen, we shouldn't be worried about feelings. It's all about facts and what it is, how things are. in regards to what you have to follow and what you're obligated to follow in regards to you signing a contract, and you understand what goes into the guidelines of these contracts, what goes into the protocols, so on and so forth. You're obligated to play, and it is what it is. You know that, you know? It says, I think the job for the union has been to try to make sure our players are healthy and safe. This is something that was a decision by the league, and we are definitely day in and day out trying to figure it out, he added. But we've got 450 players that we are always trying to get insight from. It's tough. We are trying to figure it out right now. Paul also said that he had previously spoken to James about the topic. The league has struggled to contain virus outbreaks this season. The NBA has postponed 23 games in connection with infections and contact tracing, and has stationed security guards on the court before and after games to discourage players from socializing. Only 5 of the league's 30 teams have not had a virus-related postponement. But it says that, I think 2 days ago, it said that every player had tested negative for coronavirus. Updated 2 days ago. So I just don't understand how you say that 5 teams are connected with it, unless it has to do with, the city that they're in. But it's still nonsensical because it's all about the enclosed areas and the outcome of the test that they take. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. And the Lakers is probably one of the only teams that you don't hear about in regards to what's going on with this pandemic shit. I mean, the Nets, you hear about the players, like Kevin Durant having to sit out. But with the Lakers, you don't hear anything. With Denver, they had to postpone a game. I think Dallas did. Memphis, they had to postpone a lot of games. Almost every team been affected by this except for the Lakers. NBA, man. And then you figure out, I came across an article where they're trying to say that LeBron James is the leading candidate in the MVP race right now. When Jokic is doing certain things that's just out of this world, and Embiid is killing it. So where the fuck LeBron James come from? It's obvious that they pushing this narrative so LeBron can win MVP. And they want LeBron to repeat too. They want LeBron to repeat bad. I'm telling you, LeBron is like the fucking Tom Brady of the NBA. They pushing this man so hard to be the GOAT. It's ridiculous. And when you study the NFL, certain Super Bowls, like Super Bowl 51, that shit was rigged for Tom Brady to win that damn Super Bowl. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. Particularly Super Bowl 51. There's been other Super Bowls, but that Super Bowl I can remember most recently was the most rigged Super Bowl I've ever seen in my goddamn life. Maybe the one before that as well. The Carolina Panthers going against the Broncos. But let me just read on. Where we at? On January 12th, the league and the players union announced new health protocols to deal with a rash of game postponements. Among the new rules, players and staff have been directed to remain at their homes or hotels when on the road except for team activities and essential tasks. After a recent game between the Miami Heat and the Nets, a security official interrupted Nets guard Kyrie Irving's attempt to exchange jerseys with the Heat's Bam Adebayo. It's so ridiculous, but they've been touching on each other during the course of fucking 48 minutes, as well as, minutes outside of, in-game action. It's fucking ridiculous, man. It's like the virus is quote unquote everywhere. So why do you have rules in place where you only could do certain things as far as essential activities and so on and so forth? As if the virus is going to go away if you're doing essential activities. And like I said this before, they talk about essential workers. I feel like every fucking job is essential because making money, that's essential in and of itself. If you have a job, you have an occupation, your work is essential by nature. Your work is by default essential. So the fact that you have certain jobs now that's labeled as essential work just shows you that that's based in communism. That's all that is. That's communism. You shutting down certain businesses based off of the importance of the service. Every service is important. You feel what I'm saying? Every service is important. And every line of work in regards to you having to make money is important. It's deemed essential. Doesn't make any goddamn sense. But just reading on. Much to the bafflement of Irving, Irving slipped the jersey to Adebayo after the next game 2 days later. Other players have weighed in on the All-Star game as well. On Friday, Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics, who was selected to his first All-Star team last season said, "I feel like for the most part, they have done a great job of trying to keep us safe." You know, Tatum is just a puppet. He's a conformist, and he's young. I'm not trying to begrudge or disrespect the brother, but he's young, so he's just gonna follow the lead. He's not gonna have such of a sound mind because he's young at the end of the day, or much of a sound mind. Excuse me. Referring to the league, though you can't control everything, but I do understand the concerns about it, especially in Atlanta. His teammate, Kemba Walker, a full-time All-Star, told reporters on Friday that he agreed with James. "He's a smart man," Walker said. "He's been around. He's a leader. A lot of things he says are correct." Yo, I swear, the idolatry in the NBA, for LeBron James, I feel like it's forced, man. I feel like it's a reason why certain players say what they say, or really they just, admire the man. But it's crazy how much praise they get this man because he's a fucking empty-minded guy. Like he says much of nothing if you really pay attention. Only a simple person think that LeBron is, intelligent and has a sound mind and he understands certain things on a deep level. The dude is fucking stupid. I'm just being honest. Let me just read on though. "He's a smart man," Walker said. "He's been around. He's a leader. A lot of things he says are correct. He feels the way he feels. I'm probably going to be on vacation." Earlier in the week, De'Aaron Fox, the top guard on the Sacramento Kings, said holding that game would be stupid. "If we have to wear masks and do all this for a regular game, then what's the point of bringing the All-Star game back?" Fox told reporters. "Obviously, money makes the world go round, so it is what it is." Yeah, so you got people that know what it is. They just gonna get straight to the point about what it is as far as it being clear as day that it's about money, and they got to make up for what they lost. Over the bubble. In a situation where the NBA season last year was suspended. So for the moment, the NBA's virus-related game postponements have died down. The most recent was on Monday when the Detroit Pistons and the Denver Nuggets were supposed to play in Denver. 2 days later, the league said in its weekly report that no new players had tested positive for the coronavirus. The week after there had been one case, a sharp reduction from the 27 reported over the weeks prior. In January, several teams were missing multiple players because of infections and contact tracing. But now teams are no longer missing anyone for that reason. NBA players, like much of the country, and under enormous mental strain, as Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors said in a podcast interview that was posted on Friday. He said this season has been particularly difficult with longer days as a result of daily testing and restrictions in the league's protocols. Even on off days, you have to go to the facility test, Green said. And so even just seeing that facility that day, although you may not even go in and work out, but you drive into that facility every day. Mentally, it's exhausting, and so it's been a very tough season to say the least. And I think a lot of guys are struggling with it. And that's what it is, man. At the end of the day, we just got to understand and continue to maintain a sound mind and be diligent and keep our mind above water, our head above water in these last days. We can't be sunken. We can't be, sheep, and we got to be strong. But at the end of the day, like I said, man, the NBA is a fucking mess, and I just wanted to continue my coverage on it. So thank y'all, and God bless you all. Peace. Shalom.